Hey guys, and welcome back to another great read from Hello in the Neighbor. Hello in the Neighbor. Hello Neighbor, Missing Pieces. All right, guys, so we are on chapter 4 for today, but really quick, we just want to remind you that Aaron and Nick had left the house and they were up. Well, Aaron was upset. They didn't talk for the first, 3 blocks, and then they decided. Then what did he say? Oh, didn't tell them he was taking them somewhere, and he wouldn't tell Nick where. And that's pretty much how they left it in chapter 3. So we want to know where they're going and what made Aaron so mad after the neighbor picked up his sister and Aaron and Miss Peterson, which is his mother, shared that strange look. Um, then after that, Aaron was like, let's go. So, guys, we want to get up in here. We want to hope everything is copacetic happening over there in the Peterson's house. But I don't know, guys. So, again, today, Jolly is going to read first, then Javier, and then I will take it on home. Let's get started.
The factory should be fenced off. Maybe it was at some point, but it sure isn't now. And we shouldn't be able to walk right through the front door, but we do. I used to love golden apples, Aaron says, and his eyes get all dreamy. I wait for an explanation, but all I get is a look of shock. You've never had golden apples?
I'm going to need you to stop saying golden apples, I say, for it sounds like something my grandma would make me eat. For I
Shake,
shake
a crook.
a crooked finger at him and try on my best old granny voice. For eat your golden apples so you grow big and strong,
Dearie.
dear. For these won't make anyone big or strong. For they were candy, Aaron says. For I don't know that they put in those things. I wouldn't sleep for days after I ate one. For guess that explains why they stopped making them, I say, but Aaron doesn't respond. For he just looks away. Period. The old golden apple factory doesn't look like much. For I mean, it's an
Abandoned.
abandoned factory in the middle of the woods. The
That
that's
macro,
Miraculously.
miraculously.
miraculously,
I had to get my tongue untied.
miraculously only we seem to know about. So that's pretty cool. But beside the still of
Operational.
operational
Conveyor.
conveyor belt and overall creepy
Atmosphere.
atmosphere that comes from any abandoned place. I can't figure out why Aaron was so
Stoked.
stoked to show me the factory. It's
Virtually.
literally empty and I'm starving. Plus, my parents would have been so happy that I've made a friend. They probably would have fallen all around themselves to feed us. That would have
Busted.
busted out those Susie Q's for sure. But maybe Aaron just wanted to get away from his house. I know I did away from his dad. Period.
Anyway,
Anyway, period. See,
come on.
come on, Aaron says,
Waving.
leaving me up a ramp and towards a back door with an
Unlit.
unlit exit sight over it.
Sign over.
Sign over it. Period.
It's not an exit, though. Instead, the door leads to a hallway filled with more doors to the left and the right, each at least 2 locks bolting them shut. A lockpick's dream. Whoa! I breathe, and Aaron nods. Each one leads to another door, too, he says, all locked. I stare at the corridor like we've uncovered a secret stash of golden apples. I've only made it through half of them. They they've all got different brands of latches and padlocks. Here, I'll show you my favorite room. Aaron beckons me to the middle of the corridor and fishes his tool from his pocket. Like me, he always carries his case. I hardly know what my pocket feels like anymore without it. With his signature smoothness, he springs the first lock easily. A simple, level handle lock with a clutch. The door opens to a musty smelling office, its furniture still haunting the room, waiting for its occupant to return. It's windowless and the light switch doesn't work. None of them work, Aaron says. I think the conveyor belt runs on an old generator or something. In answer to our need, Aaron scoops up a heavy old flashlight from the top of the nearby filing cabinet. Found his baby on the first day, he says, illuminating his face from under his chin like he's about to tell me a ghost story.
Then he twitches his eyebrows up and down. Follow me. I hear scurrying against the walls, and I know it's rats. I mean, it was a candy factory. I just pray to the giant aliens they keep to the walls and vents. What? Aaron asks, his voice taunting. You have a thing about rats? I have a thing about rabies, I say. Hold this, Aaron says, handing me the flashlight. Then he fishes out a hook pick and leans his ear against the door. This is when I know Aaron is really at work. It's like he's listening to the door's heartbeat. I don't even bother asking why he locks the doors after he sprung them open. It's because each time is like the first time, and there's no feeling like that. With the tiniest flick of his wrist, the pin clinks and the door groans open. Inside is a treasure trove of broken machinery. I had a feeling you want to see this, he said, and I hardly know what to say. There's this cartoon that I used to watch. Okay, I maybe possibly still watch, with a ridiculously rich duck. He has so much money that he keeps all his gold and jewels and coins and bills piled up in a room-sized vault, and he swims through the treasure like it's water. That's what I wanted to do when Aaron opened this door.
Circuit office behind the regular office was probably considered a junk
Considered
considered a junk room, a kind of elephant graveyard where electric
electronics,
electronics
Journeyed,
journey to
eventually.
eventually die as new
hardware,
hardware was invited
Invented.
invented to replace them. Period. Maybe the tech
Tech guy.
tech guy at the Golden Apple Corporation figured figured he could make a buck selling those old member
Monitors.
monitors or keyboards or security cameras for
parts,
parts. But the facility
factory,
shut down and the already
useless,
unuseless machines slept behind a locked door, guarded by an empty chair and another locked door. The dude say something, so I know you're not having a
Stroke.
stroke or something. Good. You smell like rat poop.
talk louder,
You smell like rat poop. I say because it's the only way I can tell him so one has ever trusted me with treasure. Yeah, you're going to want to scrape your shoes because you
before,
before you get home, he says, Dama, and I think he understands that thank you would be embarrassing. Period. I take what I carry.
I can
I
carry,
can carry the
motor,
motor from his old vacuum, comma, the fan from a CPU, a keyboard, and about five
Extensions.
extension cords. Spirit. I'll bring a bag next time, comma. I say Aaron, but he ahead, already ahead of me,
Walking ahead.
walking ahead of me.
Talk louder.
The hallway and back onto the factory floor where he locked the door behind him so no one else can get in easier
Easily.
easily and
Vandalize.
vandalize our secret place. Because I
Mm-mm.
before I know it, comma, we're dropping over the wooden path that leads into the trees and away from the train tracks. Good. Then he pushes and
Pauses.
pauses, and I turn to see what it is he's starting at.
Staring at.
Staring at
Keep it
me.
going.
Period.
There's just over there. There's just over there. Wait a minute, excuse me. There, just over the tree line, is a red and gold seat, rocking and creaking on a mild breeze attached to the top of a large metal arc. Is that a Ferris wheel? I asked, already pushing past Aaron to cut a path through the overgrowth. I expecting to find a clearing full of other confection colored rides and ticket booths, one of the millions of county fairs that popped up on main streets or in open parking lots during the summer months. But what I find instead is a ghost town. The Ferris wheel cars are paralyzed, moved only by the warm breeze that blows by. The wheels itself is covered in so much graffiti I can't even tell what the color used to be. And not the cool kind of graffiti that's left by daredevil street artists, the ugly kind of graffiti that's meant to erase whatever's underneath. I see the opening to a funhouse that looks more horror than fun, with its apple shaped head and its wide mouth with bared teeth. I see the charred concession stand that is missing its roof and a collapsed stage still encircled by tiered cement seats. There's a carousel of vandalized animals prancing across the motionless grate. There's the top curve of a roller coaster track cresting above the tree line, a lone car perched at the apex. There used to be more, lots more. A directory obscured in oily burn residue tells me at least that much. But whatever this place was is dead and buried now.
Across the concession stand, in faded white letters over the red paint, reads Golden Apple Amusement Park. They made a park too? I asked, incredulous that Aaron didn't show me this just as eagerly as the factory. Sure, there were no locks or machines, but there is plenty to mess with between the Ferris wheel and the roller coaster. I mean, the cars have to be around somewhere. I bet I could get the carousel going again. I say, stacking my factory treasure against the tree and racing across the overgrown park. I emerge from the bush to find him looking at the ground, his hands crossed over his chest. He's acting like he's mad at me. What's the matter? Nothing. I just don't like it here, he says evasively. Are you joking? What's not to like? Seriously. Why is why is this place like completely hidden? It's not hidden, Aaron says, but he almost spits it out like he's disgusted with me. Okay, I say, clearly terrible at sidestepping whatever landmine is buried under all this ash. Ash, like maybe it burned down. Did something. What happened here? I ask, and Aaron looks up. His eyes look like they're ready to shoot lasers, and I'm close enough that I think he actually might throw a punch at me, but I still have no idea why.
And this is the picture that's on this next page.
It's a map of the Golden Apple amusement park. So this is kind of what they were describing. There's a roller coaster here. There's Cider Falls, which is like some mountains down here. There is an orchard. It's called an Evil Orchard. Excuse me, it's opposite. And then there is Golden Apple Farms. That's just it seems like the main part of it, and then the carousel on this side, and yeah, here's the Ferris wheel.
Then he seemed to catch himself, and his shoulder relaxed a little. For I shouldn't have come this way. For I forget this was here. But I don't think that's true. For I think maybe he wanted me to see it. So did it like burn down or something? I pound. For Aaron just stares at me. For I live down the street from a house that burned down once, I say, strange to rumble, starting to
Ramble.
For it was a space
Heater.
heater or something, and everyone got out okay, but the house was completely torched, just like his place looks. I keep waiting for Aaron to say something to my
To save me.
save me from my
Babbling.
battling, but he keeps
Staring.
staring. The sudden, the sudden, suddenly,
The sudden.
the sudden silence in a straight, stark
Contrast.
contrast from the factory only moments
Ago.
Just when I think we're going to
Suffocate.
suffocate under all the
Awkwardness.
awkwardness, Aaron shakes his head. Let's get out of here, he says, and even though I'm ready to go, I know I'm let Aaron down somehow.
Talk louder.
He doesn't say a word the rest of the way home. Just a casual see y'all around before he steps onto his unlit porch and see y'all
Disappears.
and disappears into his house. I replay the night in my head. The house with all his twists and turns. His dad's unique sense of humor. The factory, the music part. I try to figure out when things turn weird. Aaron was squirmy after we left his house, but that seemed to wear off. Once he showed me the factory. It was only after we to got to the burned remains of the music park that Aaron in entire
Demeanor.
demeanor changed.
Okay. The guy who shared his trove of abandoned electronics had disappeared, and the angry, scared kid he left in its place needed me to know something. What were you trying to tell me, you weirdo? I asked Aaron's dark porch because I know what it's like to want something to guess how you're feeling. It's way easier than saying it. I set my electronics haul beside the door and decided I'll leave it there until the morning. Maybe by then I'll have a plausible explanation for where they came from. I barely have time to close the front door before Mom and Dad pounce on me. Did you have fun? What's he like? Are you in the same grade? Have you ate dinner yet? Yeah, he's okay. Same grade, I say. Then I shrug. Not hungry. Mom's Mom's palm cups my forehead. You're coming down with something. I just don't feel like eating, okay? Mom and Dad exchange a look. He looks like our son, Dad says, but he reaches for my face. tilting my chin up to see my nose, pinching my cheeks open to open my mouth.
I don't know, Lou. He could be a changeling. Hardy har har, I say, swatting Dad's hand away. Well, you have two choices, Mom says. You can stay here and eat like a normal 12-year-old, or you can run a boring errand with your boring mother. I hadn't noticed before that she's wearing her rain jacket and shoes. I need a book for my office, she says. A book from her office at the university. Your office is near the campus library, right? Mom cocks her head to the side. Just the science library. But does it have newspapers, like old records? Mom looks like she wants to ask another question, then loses interest. Probably, she says, grabbing her car keys. Our shoes squeak against the orange and white linoleum of the Life Sciences building on the east end of campus. The university is old, and some of the original buildings are really pretty, all brick and dark wood and pillars. The east end of the grounds, though, was built sometime in the 60s, and I'm pretty sure that was the last time anyone's touched it. That's one of the reasons the school is so excited about having Mom on the faculty. She's a chemist, and not just any chemist.
He written a couple of papers on some experiments she did that got published in some
Hoity-toity
hoity-toity
journals.
journals, and now people know that
Luann.
Luann Broth is super smart.
Oh, that's right.
Smart science mean more students
Enrollment.
which means maybe the school will finally be able to buy some new equipment and remodel the bathrooms or so. Dad says, which way is the library? I asked Mom, downstairs to the left, but Narf, I'm only going to be
A minute.
a minute
You know that. It's an acronym for it. The minute.
minute
Be a minute.
meet me down there. I call over my shoulder, comma. This
Disappearing.
down the stairs and around the dark hallway before she can tell me no. But the science library is smaller than more elementary schools, comma, which makes it easy to find the periodical section. For most of the tables are piled with
Neatly.
neatly stacked science journals, well worn with sticky covers and
Dog-eared
dog-eared pages. Period. Those aren't going to help me through. Period. Though.
Period.
Period. I keep scanning the periodical shelf until finally, comma, in the very bottom corner, I spy a pile of old newspapers, comma, the masthead on one on I recognize from the sign on the building where Dad works, the Raven Brooks banner. Period. I sit on the ground and pull the sack onto my lap, comma,
skimming
through the headline as quickly as I can for anything with the word golden and apple. Period. I'm a third grade.
A third. A third of the way through the snack sack when I heard footsteps Echoing
through the hall above. Where I recognized my mom urging stride. Period. Even when she's not in a hurry, she moves fast. Period. Come on, I muddled flipping.
mutter,
I muddled
mutter,
mutter flipping faster through the pile, but d- nothing is jumping out at me. But I stick to the bottom of the sack. But it but in my hurry, I fumble the papers and send the connection scaring
scattering.
scattering. Per Narf, are you making a mess down here? I can hear
Mm-mm.
I hear my mom's footsteps begin to
Descend.
Descend.
descend the stairs. Spirit, ready to admit defeat.
Mm-hmm.
I start
Scooping.
scooping the sack back together when I spy a paper with bold letters spelling out the headline. I grab the paper and try to skim what I can. But mom is almost at the bottom of the stairs. So I commit
Commit.
commit a mortal sin.
Mortal.
Mortal sin. Aliens forgive me. Tearing the new print
The newsprint.
newsprint, I pull the page from the paper and
Shove.
shove it on into my pocket before my mom
Pokes.
pokes her head around the corner. What were you
Were.
what were you trying to do? Build a nest. Mom asks, her hand measuring
Massaging.
massaging the back of my neck.
Of her neck.
Of her neck. I didn't tear anything.
All right, let's show you the page since they have a picture up here.
And this looks like it says Golden Apple Tragedy 1 year later. So it's a little girl here, and so we're gonna see what that's about.
I am, without a doubt, the world's worst criminal. Mom knows it too. She shakes her head at me, then helps me clean my mess before we leave the library, mostly the way we found it. At home, I wait until I hear my parents snoring before pulling the article from my pocket. On this day, exactly 1 year ago, life for the Y family changed forever, and the town of Raven Brooks lost a piece of its heart. What should have been a day of a family fun at the newly opened Golden Apple amusement park turned into unimaginable tragedy when a mechanical flaw in the park's much buzzed about rotten core roller coaster caused the death of a 7-year-old Lucy Y. A close up picture of a smiling girl stares back at me from the page, her eyes sparkling under a fringe of dark bangs. I read the caption reluctantly. Lucy Y was a first grader at Ravenbrooks Elementary School. She was the first she was a first grader. I think to myself, was because she's dead now. Is that the something Aaron wanted me to guess? How could I ever have guessed something that horrific had happened right here in the same park where we're standing earlier tonight? I keep reading. It was so shocking. I mean, an amusement park is supposed to be a carefree place, says Trina Bell, a former Golden Apples assembly line worker at the factory a mile from the park.
I'll tell you this, no kid of mine is ever going to step foot on one of those contraptions ever again. This just goes to show you never really know what's safe, says Bill Markson as he sweeps the sidewalk in front of the Pup and Puss pet supply. You know what I think? I think they rushed to open before they done all those safety checks they should have done. Yet, not all of Raven Brooks blames the Golden Apple Corporation or the builders responsible for its construction. Gladys Ewing tries to hold on to the happy memories despite the long shadow cast by the confection makers' um, meteoric fall from popularity. I will never forget riding the Ferris wheel with my youngest son on opening day. I've never seen him smile that big. People ought to be ashamed of burning that place down like they did. I read Gladys Ewing's quote 3 more times to make sure I've read it right. They burned it down? I breathed. In a week dominated by suffering for a family and reflection on the further tragedy that could have struck, angry parents and townspeople gathered at the shuttered Golden Apple amusement park to grieve together. But what was meant to be a candlelight vigil turned riotous when several disgruntled citizens turned their anger toward the park.
By then blame for young Lucy.
I believe her name is Lucy Yee. I said Lucy Y, but it's Y-I. So I'm going to go with Lucy Yee. So let's go with Lucy Yee.
Death had fallen to the Golden Apple Corporations and the music park lead. I flip the page over, but all I find are stories of the
Neighboring.
neighboring towns, zoo, and
Mm-mm.
and a sale on organic chicken at the natural grocer when they were still selling meat, comma, I suppose, period, I turn back to the article and see that the story continues on page B3, period. I lay the crumpled,
Mm-hmm.
crumbled newsprint at my feet and lean against the bed, my head on the way back as I stare up at the
Ceiling.
So that's what Aaron couldn't find a way to tell me not that I can blame him. Period. How do you bring up something that awful in casual
Conversation.
as off no eating
You said it right.
as awful as the history of the place that place is, comma, that isn't what's eating at me, comma, either, period. What I can't figure out is why Aaron brought me there in the first place, period. He obviously wanted me to know what had happened there, period. But why? I fall asleep with thoughts of Aaron and his family rolling through my brain, period. Mr. Peterson, Mrs. Peterson, trembling hands on the trembling hands as she puffed away on a
cigarette
by the window. Period. The look she exchanged with Aaron when his dad talked about removing bones. Period. The way Maya's face lost all its colors just before her dad picked her up and tickled her ribs. Period. That night, comma, I dreamed of small, fragile skeletons crouched low to the ashy ground, bounding around a darkened Ferris wheel that's being slowly choked to death by vines. Good.
All right, guys. So that was the end of chapter 4. I really hope that you enjoyed it. So quickly, we wanted to summarize what was going on. And so, what was happening, Jamia?
Aaron took Nikki to the Golden Apples. Nikki found out that it was an abandoned amusement park. He seen to his own eyes that it was burned down. Then Aaron did not answer. But when Nikki asked what happened to the amusement park.
And so Nikki kept on waiting for Aaron to say something. He wouldn't say nothing. So then Aaron was like, let's just get out of here. So Nikki went home and he was talking to his mom. His mom was asking about how Aaron was. And he was just asking, I mean, he answered and just said that he was fine. And then his mom invited Nikki to go to her university to go get a book from the office. And this is when he found a newspaper article to explain what happened.
Right, and then when he seen the article, he seen that it was a little girl, 7 years old, that actually died, um, and they think it's through mechanical issues on one of the rides. So the parents actually burnt down the museum. I mean, excuse me, the parents actually burnt down the amusement park, and um, after they burnt down the amusement park, Nikki is now that Nikki knows actually he doesn't really know how to bring it up to Aaron because he's like, oh well, now I realize why he didn't tell me what happened because this is awful and it is. I mean that's terrible, and so he's like, well, so how does he bring it up to him that he knows? And then the other thing was that he just how the chapter basically ended. He was just like pretty much flashbacking on the whole Peterson's house and seeing the creepy stuff that's been happening. Like, so now he's just like reminding himself about, the neighbor picking up Maya and tickling her and how funny that made them feel. And so he's really kind of confused about the vibe over there. So I don't really know what you think might happen next, guys, because we're going to be going to chapter 5. What y'all think is going to happen in chapter 5?
So I think somehow Nikki's gonna try to figure out a way to bring up to Aaron that he knows what happened, or just try to get into that conversation and spend a little bit more time trying to figure the Petersons out, because like you said, they are kind of just different. And what you think's gonna happen?
But maybe we will learn more about Maya and from herself.
That's true. Maybe she'll come out and talk to the boys, and we get to hear from her and see if she's okay. I don't know. It's the weird vibes for me. Um, and so we gotta really see. I don't even know. I didn't know this book was that deep. So we already on chapter 5 about to be. So that was the end of chapter 4, guys. So, like we said, you can get you a copy or you can listen to us. We prefer you to do both. But until the next time, guys, stay tuned and we'll be back.